We are visiting with Deputy Director Scott Peterson to talk about the upcoming Fall Advisory Board meetings. I'm Mike Anderson with the North Dakota Game and Fish Department. Scott, what is the Advisory Board and what are the Advisory Board meetings for?
The state of North Dakota is divided into 8 districts, and each one of those districts has an advisory board member that's appointed to the Game and Fish Advisory Board by the governor, and they are required to hold 2 public meetings in each one of those respective districts each year. And so typically they'll host a meeting in the spring, usually late April, and then one again in the fall, which is typically in late October through November timeframe.
Usually the fall ones typically come right after the deer gun season. This year, deer gun season is as late as it can be.
Yeah.
There's going to be some meetings before the deer gun season.
That's right, Mike. There's a bit of a change in the way we're doing that. It's a slight shift in the timing of it, and we're doing that for a couple reasons. First of all, just the way the calendar falls, deer season this year is as late as it can be. We like to do a standardized opener of, it opens on the Friday just prior to November 11th. Well, this year that happens to be November 10th. And so what happens there too is deer gun season falls during Thanksgiving. And so when you look at that time frame and the fact that we meet with the advisory board itself after all the district meetings are done, it becomes very difficult, if not impossible, to squeeze 8 weekday night meetings in that time frame. And so this year we're switching that up a little bit. We're going to have a few of them in October, and then there's going to be a couple of them that are going to be held during and after the deer gun season is over. So, and
to find a list and locations, you can go to the Game and Fish Department's website.
Yeah, absolutely. Always, it's probably the best, easiest way to go to gf.nd.gov, and you can find a complete list of where and when the meetings will be held.
If you've never been to one of these meetings, what can somebody expect?
Again, they're 2-hour meetings. They run from 7 to 9, or roughly. Sometimes we stick around a little later if there's still a lot of comments and questions going on. But the first hour we always dedicate, at least the first hour, to local issues. What is it that the local folks at those meetings want to talk about? Questions, comments, concerns, ideas. We'll entertain any of those. And then usually around the second half of the meeting, or maybe a little bit after, there's typically a number of issues that we want to get out to the public to make them aware of as well. And so that'll take us to the 9 o'clock hour.
Scott, let's move into some of the topics that will happen this fall at the advisory board meetings. Typically a big game update?
We do. The fall meeting, Mike, is generally big game hunting, and particularly since the deer gun season will have just recently been completed. Deer hunting and deer season is normally a major topic in the fall meetings. And so we always dedicate a portion of the agenda during those meetings to talk about a big game update, which will include the deer season and probably a couple of other issues in there. We will also have some fishing topics. One in particular that we want to talk about are some potential fishing regulation changes coming up with the new fishing proclamation. We're going to likely have a communications update where we want to talk to the public and pitch the idea of whether or not we want to continue to provide printed guides for all of the seasons, or maybe we go digitally on those too. And so the other thing is that we'd like to do this year is give a little update on the electronic posting process and system. And then we may want to talk about a potential change in how we issue refunds beginning in 2024 as well.
What do you mean by that, Scott?
Well, so there's the possibility of not charging people's credit card when they apply for a license until they are successful. If an individual is unsuccessful, we would not make a transaction for that.
Scott, these meetings are public meetings, and that means people can come and express their concerns or anything they want to talk to about the Game and Fish Department to the management team.
That's right, and we'll run the gamut at some of those, and there's always a good variety of topics that get brought up, and there's always a good variety of issues that are worth talking about, and so yeah, we don't set any sideboards, Mike. You just never know what you're going to hear in those 2-hour meetings, and of course the topics are also they're actually driven by the area of the state that you're in. The topics that you hear about in the northeastern part of the state are probably not going to be the same issues you hear in the southwest.
Statewide, if you can't make one of the meetings, in Bismarck, we'll be live streaming the meeting as well.
Once again, the meeting that'll be held in Bismarck, which by the way is, I believe it's November 21st, we're going to live stream that again for those folks who can't make any of the other meetings. And so they can tune in and even post questions online. We'll try to get to as many of those as we possibly can.
Again, Scott, where can somebody find the times and locations and dates?
Times and locations, there'll be several ways that we're going to get that information out, but the easiest I think for everybody is just go to our website, gf.nd.gov, and you'll find a complete list there of time and places.
A lot of great information, Scott. Thank
you.